Welcome back, everybody. Here we are in the wake of Saturday's Maryland Juvenile Championship, Maryland Juvenile Filly Championship, and here to try to help us make some sense of it all and give us a list of his top Maryland-bred two-year-olds, John Piassek from the Maryland Horse Breeders Association, and also handicaps for the racing biz. John, welcome. What we learned in the Maryland Juvenile Championship, I think, is we learned something about post time.
Well, Frank, as I said to you about 5 minutes after the race, I showed you my program, and I said in a few months, this could be a valuable item. So if you have a copy of it, hold on to it. Post time had got a lot of hype, at least locally, after his first two starts. He broke his maiden on October 7th in an off-the-grass 5.5 furlong maiden race, won that by 2 lengths. Then blew the doors of a first-level allowance optional claiming field back on October 27th. He won that by almost 7 lengths. So he kind of knew that he was the goods going into this race, and he validated it with another impressive victory.
Yeah, he won pretty easily. Now, he's your top-rated Maryland-bred two-year-old, but I think the second place finisher in this race, who's also second on your list, Johnyz From Albany, I think he's a legitimate runner. I mean, and I think that this speaks well of Johnyz, but also validates what post time did, because Johnyz From Albany had absolutely destroyed the field in the Maryland Million Nursery.
Yeah, I mean, Johnyz has won 5 races so far, and all of them have been great. He broke his maiden at Laurel on August 21st, came in third in an allowance optional claiming race at Pimlico back in September. The winner, Super Chow, came back to win a stakes at Tampa Bay Downs last Saturday. Then in the race after that, he was second behind Recruiter, who came back to win a stakes at Laurel a few weeks ago. Then Johnyz won the Maryland Million Nursery in gate-to-wire style in very impressive fashion. And really, if you take post time out of the mix here, he blew the doors off of this group too. So the only horses he's ever lost to have been either stakes winners or stakes place horses. So he's another one who could make some noise in the next few months.
Let's turn to the Juvenile Filly Championship. Malibu Moonshine, the same name as a horse that ran around here 17 or so years ago, ships in from New York for trainer Charlie Baker and gets the money. 2 for 2 now. Malibu Moonshine, she's your number 1 horse among Maryland-bred two-year-old fillies.
Yeah. I was intrigued by her debut back at Pimlico in mid-September, and last Saturday's race was basically a carbon copy of her debut. Over and off track, broke slow, made a wide move, and dropped to win pretty impressively. So I thought it was a good validation of that race, and I was excited to see her in the Maryland Million Nursery, where she was where she was entered, but she was scratched that morning. Comes back here and wins in her first start in about 2.5 months, and it continues a great fall for Anchor and Hope Stallion Bourbon Courage, with yet another stakes winner joining the likes of Double Crown and For the Love of Bourbon.
Yeah, this was a strong effort. Charlie Baker said afterwards he thinks she'll be fine in open company. I mean, it would obviously be preferred for him to be able to stay in New York where the purses are bigger, and he wouldn't have the cost of shipping. So we'll see if that works out to their advantage. Fast Track, the runner-up, ran a big race here in just her second start, John.
Yeah, Fast Track, a half-sister to multiple stakes-winning Maryland-bred Malibu Beauty. I was at Laurel the day that she debuted, and I thought she ran a big race that day. Dueled on the lead, shook off a lot of competition, and got to win by a neck. Last Saturday, went off at 14-1. I'm not quite sure how, but she did. Fine by me, though. And she sat a very good trip off a very fast pace. As you said, got up for second and ran on well in the stretch. Gotta figure that was a good race because she showed she's not quite a neither lead type. She can sit off it, and she can make some noise in winter stakes down here.
That's it. Malibu Moonshine, your top Maryland-bred two-year-old filly. Looks like the boys are the division this year, though, to keep an eye on, John, with Post Time and Johnyz From Albany both looking like they may be the sorts of horses. More Post Time, who looks like he might be sort of able to take another step up, but certainly Johnyz looks like a horse that'll do just fine in stakes in the Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah, I'm very curious about both of them. I think Post Time at some point is going to find his way on a trailer up to New York, compete in some of the dirty preps there, but we'll see what happens. I mean, Ellen Charles and Brittany Russell have been around the block, and I'm sure they'll do the best for their horse. And Johnyz From Albany, as you said, he could make a lot of noise on in the stakes at Laurel Park this winter. And from there, if he can stretch out, maybe he'll make some noise in races elsewhere. We'll see.
We will see. Well, that's going to do it here. Malibu Moonshine wins the Maryland Juvenile Filly Championship, and Post Time, dominant winner of the Maryland Juvenile Championship. The two kind of key stakes for Maryland-bred 2-year-olds closing the season here at Laurel Park.